to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at WION.com.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Race to Power with me, Ananya Datta. Coming up on this broadcast shortly. Campaigning in the United Kingdom is in full swing with elections due in 41 days. Rishi Sunak has shelved a policy that he was banking on for elections. The question is, why? Now, India will be holding its sixth phase of elections in less than 12 hours. If you are voting tomorrow, we bring you everything you need to know. Rishi Sunak's surprise election announcement has triggered a sense of urgency across political parties. Given the dramatic turn of events in the political landscape, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has shelved two of his key bills, the Rwanda deportation plan and the smoking ban. With polls scheduled to be held on July 4th, the UK Parliament's wash-up period, which refers to the last leg of the Parliament in function before dissolution, ends today. With elections around the corner, the future of some of the most hotly debated bills now hang in balance. Sunak's Rwanda migrant policy and a smoking ban bill stand suspended as the two were not included in the list of bills being rushed through before the next general election. This essentially means that the Conservative government led by Sunak will not be able to implement the smoking ban before elections. It will now be up to the next government to pilot the bill. The bill, if passed, will effectively make it illegal for anyone born after 2009 to buy tobacco products in the United Kingdom. The Labour Party has reacted to the suspension, with several of the opposition leaders saying that they would have supported the bill if it had been put forward despite the rules of Parliament's wash-up period. Now, the Labour Party has repeatedly pledged its commitment to the smoking ban if the party comes to power following the summer polls. Several analysts expect the Labour Party to include the ban on smoking it in its election manifesto.
The amount of information you've got.
Now, to take this further, we were earlier joined by correspondent John Bevere from London. Listen into what he had to say.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think it's worth remembering as well that in terms of the Rwanda policy, as it's known, this is the plan to remove illegal migrants to Rwanda rather than have them stay here in the UK. It's already cost somewhere in the region of about $300 million that's been spent on it so far. So there are a lot of people saying this has just been a huge waste of money. Of course, it was Rishi Sunak himself who has set the date for this election. Legally, it only had to be held by the end of January of next year, but Rishi Sunak decided to go early and to have an earlier date. So a lot of uncertainty about exactly why he did that. And certainly he has admitted that there will be no Rwanda flights taking off before the election. So he will say that it was the opposition parties who stood in the way and got in the way of it all, and actually the policy would have worked. I would imagine that's what we're going to be hearing a lot of in the coming weeks ahead of the election. And yes, this smoking bill, this plan to gradually phase out smoking in the United Kingdom by raising the legal age at which you have to be in order to buy tobacco, would basically mean the end of smoking here in the UK. Now, that has not made it through Parliament in time, as you said. Rishi Sunak has said he's disappointed about that, but again, his critics have said, well, you called the election, so why call it so soon that it meant that this bill didn't get through Parliament? So he's been criticised for that. Worth noting, as you pointed out, though, that the Labour Party, the main opposition to the Conservatives here, have said that they support that bill as well. So I would expect that we will see that back in front of Parliament if Labour win a majority and form the next government when the public go to the polls on the 4th of July.
Now, each passing day is bringing in more Tory party MP resignations. Since Rishi Sunak's July election announcement, 5 Conservative leaders have already resigned. Fear, division within the party and a looming sense of defeat signals that more might follow. Earlier in the day, 5 Conservative leaders stepped aside, saying that they will not contest the upcoming general elections on July 4th. The leaders who resigned are Sir Michael Ellis, Member of Parliament for Northampton, Hugh Merriman, the Transport Minister, James Grundy, a Tory leader who is an MP since 2019, Dame Eleanor Lying, the Deputy Speaker of the Commons, and lastly, Joe Churchill, who is the Employment Minister. Now, as per reports, leaders from the Conservative Party had originally intended to stagger the resignations across several months. But after Rishi Sunak's decision to hold snap elections, speculation is rife that those quitting will be forced to announce their resignations in the coming days and weeks. The avalanche of resignations comes as a rude shock for Rishi Sunak and the ruling party that already lags behind the opposition Labour Party in polls. 69 MPs have resigned so far. Now, this is the highest since 1997, when 75 party members stepped down. Tories, under the leadership of ex-Prime Minister John Major, had lost the election to the Labour Party back then. The current scenario appears to mirror what transpired about 27 years ago. Now, as the United States inches closer to a Trump-Biden rematch in the November presidential elections, the Republican leader, in signature Trump style, raised the immigrant issue. His latest remarks have once again stirred controversy. Just on Thursday, the Republican leader addressed a campaign rally in New York's South Bronx, with thousands of them in attendance. The rally was held in a neighborhood with primarily Hispanic and African-American residents. All seemed to go well till Donald Trump made inflammatory remarks pointed at migrants. In his campaign speech, Trump said, and I'm quoting, "Almost everyone is a male and they look like fighting age. I think they are building an army. They want to get us from within." The former US president, who seeks his second term in office, has been in the spotlight several times for his remarks against people of color, particularly migrants from Mexico and African nations. Now, this kind of criticism against migrants in US continues even as studies show that immigrants are not more likely to engage in criminality. Time and again, the Republican leader has also used derogatory language against immigrants when he referred to them as quote-unquote animals. The latest numbers show that migrant encounters on the US-Mexico border have actually dropped. Illegal crossings usually increase in the spring, but officials claim that this April they fell by over 6% compared to March. Now, VOA's immigration reporter Eleni Beros has more on this.
Along the road, migrants walk near the steel fence that marks the border between the United States and Mexico at Sasabe, Arizona. They've already walked 9 miles into the U.S. to get to this camp in Sasabe. Here, they wait to turn themselves in to U.S. Border Patrol officers. Most say they will ask the United States government for asylum.
In my country in Africa, things are not going well. That is why I decided to come to the United States.
The migrants described their journey to the U.S. as dangerous.
I was afraid for my safety since in the forest in Panama it was not easy. We were walking in a big forest. It wasn't easy, but we made it.
U.S. officials released encounter data showing that illegal crosses into the United States from Mexico fell more than 6% in April, defying the usual spring increase. U.S. Customs and Border Protection says it encountered nearly 129,000 migrants between ports of entry along the southwest border. That's down from about 137,000 in March and nearly half of December's 250,000. The U.S. government has largely attributed the decline in encounters to more enforcement in Mexico. Migrants are still coming from different parts of the world.
There's a lot of migration that we're seeing from West Africa. So these generally are languages and cultures that we're not familiar with, languages and cultures that the other migrants are not familiar with. So that's always going to be a bit of a challenge.
But even with the lower figures, CBP officials say smugglers push migrants to the most isolated areas, like this one in the Tucson sector in Arizona.
We have to get out to these very remote areas that don't have necessarily paved roads to get to. So we are getting out there best we can to get to them, triage them, determine if there's someone that's more vulnerable than the rest, and then get those populations out of there.
Since May 2023, U.S. immigration officials deported more than 720,000 individuals. The majority had illegally crossed the southwest border. At the camp in Sasabe, humanitarian workers provide migrants with food and water.
It used to be it was Mexico and Central America, and those people still come. But there are people from various countries in Africa, met people from Bangladesh, from India, from, I don't know, it's kind of a United Nations sort of a thing.
The decrease in encounters hasn't slowed down the Republican criticism of how the Biden administration is handling immigration issues.
If people think they can come illegally, they will come.
U.S. officials say they will remain vigilant to understand the shifting migration patterns. Alini Barrows, VOA News, Washington.
Moving on now, in the 3 decades that South Africa has been a democracy, none of the past national elections have been so uncertain. This comes as South African voters grow increasingly frustrated with rampant corruption and sweeping unemployment. The ruling ANC faces its toughest electoral battle yet.
In Nelson Mandela's hometown, Unu, there's been no running water since 2016. Jobs are scarce and crime is on the rise. It's been 30 years since Mandela led the African National Congress to power. In rural locations like this, cracks are now showing in the ANC's support. Among those too young to remember Mandela and the ANC's battle to end apartheid. Among older voters, however, like 65-year-old Mzwandile Mthembu, loyalty remains strong. He has no power in his concrete shack, but gets a pensioner's grant.
It
doesn't mean we should abandon them, because if we vote for someone else, they can also do the same. That is why I will vote for the ANC until I die.
The ANC won at 63% in this province, Eastern Cape, in 2021. But that support is being challenged by a generational divide. Across the road from Mthembu, 37-year-old Lungile Ngoswa says he's had enough of the old guard and would be voting for the opposition.
Mandela is gone now. Now it's our time. We must see things differently.
The challenges in Unu are echoed across South Africa. Unemployment is near a record high, murders are rising, and basic services such as electricity are unreliable. Polls and political analysts are predicting that widespread dissatisfaction will cost the ANC its majority for the first time since 1994 and force it into a coalition. Some opinion polls have put overall ANC support as low as 39%. However, it is still on track to get twice the votes of any other party on May 29th. Recent surveys have also shown the party regaining some ground. The ANC says it needs more time to finish the job, but it acknowledges that there have also been mistakes in the 3 decades since Mandela came to power on a wave of hope.
In less than 12 hours from now, India will hold its 6th phase of elections. Here is everything you need to know.
The fight for the lower house of the Indian Parliament has reached its 6th and penultimate phase. 429 seats were contested in the first 5 phases. The 6th phase will see voting on 58 more seats across 6 states and 2 union territories. Let's put this on a map. All 7 seats in Delhi and 10 in Haryana are up for grabs. Voting in Jammu and Kashmir's Anantnag and Rajouri was slated for phase 3, but was delayed after objections by the ruling party. Both places will have voting in this phase, and the hope is that the turnout will be high like the rest of Jammu and Kashmir. After this phase, voting will conclude in the Union Territory. Elections will continue in the rest of the states that go to the polls in the 6th phase, like Bihar, Jharkhand, Orissa, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. Let's look at the key faces, starting with Delhi, that is definitely in the spotlight. The Indian National Congress and Aam Aadmi Party have a seat-sharing formula. In the 7 seats, AAP has fielded candidates on 4 seats and the Congress on 3, all against the BJP. Interestingly, the BJP won all seats in Delhi last time. This time, the competition is expected to be tougher in New Delhi, with BJP fielding former External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj's daughter, and the AAP naming lawyer-turned-politician Somnath Bharti against her. The Congress has put up Kanhaiya Kumar in northeast Delhi, who is likely to have an uphill battle against BJP's celebrity face Manoj Tiwari. BJP leader and Union Minister Rao Inderjeet Singh is hoping to continue his victory run from Haryana's Gurgaon, a satellite city on the outskirts of Delhi. Against him is actor-turned-politician Raj Babbar of the Congress. In Uttar Pradesh, a fierce battle is expected in Azamgarh, where the cousin of Samajwadi Party's President Akhilesh Yadav will take on the BJP's candidate, actor-singer Dinesh Lal Yadav, who is looking to retain his seat. In Jammu and Kashmir, former Chief Minister and the PDP's Mehbooba Mufti is aiming to enter parliament from Anantnag Rajouri. She is facing Mian Altaf Ahmed of the National Conference Party. Coming to logistics, 1 million polling stations have been set up for the elections, with 15 million polling agents and 5.5 million voting machines. Voting starts at 7 AM local time and ends at 6 PM. So if it happens to be your turn to vote, go out and cast your vote. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Staying with India, the Supreme Court has refused a petition related to elections in the country. The petition wanted the poll body to publish booth-wise numbers of voter turnout, as well as upload copies of Form 17C on its website within 48 hours of polling. The 17C clause would be a document proof of the voter turnout. The top court refused the plea, stating that elections are already underway and ordering changes right now is not possible. The petition was brought in by NGO Association for Democratic Reforms. It comes after a recent controversy surrounding the final voter turnout announced by the Election Commission, which, when compared to the initial estimate announced on the voting day, was substantially higher. Now, this, coupled with the delay in announcing the voter turnout, has led to concerns among voters and political parties alike. The Election Commission of India had told the Supreme Court that there is no legal right that someone could order the EC to publish the data. Now, the bench sought to know why the petitioner, who moved the court in the year 2019, had not done anything to pursue the matter before the current elections. The court said that all pleas in this regard will be taken up once the court reopens after summer recess. Now, startups have become a key force in disrupting key industries and driving economic growth and innovation. As the third largest hub for startups, India is a key market for these companies. So what do these visionary companies and their founders want from India's new government? Let's find out.
Startups have become a crucial element in the political landscape of India, particularly in the context of upcoming elections. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government has positioned itself as a champion of entrepreneurship with significant initiatives such as the Atal Innovation Mission, Startup India and Digital India, which have transformed India's economic landscape. Since 2015, the number of unicorns in India has surged from just 4 to 130 by 2024. This explosive growth reflects a thriving startup ecosystem that the Modi administration has actively nurtured. The Prime Minister recently praised entrepreneurs like Deepinder Goyal of Zomato, which underscores the government's commitment to fostering innovation and entrepreneurship. If Modi secures a third term, his administration promises to continue creating a conducive environment for startups. This includes further support for technology and innovation, streamlined regulations, and enhanced access to capital. By bolstering the startup sector, the government aims to spur job creation, drive economic growth, and position India as a global innovation hub. This strategic focus on startups not only galvanizes economic progress, but also resonates with the youthful and dynamic electorate, making it a pivotal issue in the forthcoming elections. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And with that, we are wrapping up this edition of Race to Power. Thanks for watching with me, Ananya Datta. Goodbye.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at yowon.com.
The penultimate phase of India's general election is here. 58 constituencies spread across 6 states and 2 union territories. Voters reach a crucial juncture as the make-or-break phase begins. AAP and Congress combine take on BJP in Delhi. All 10 seats up for grabs in Haryana. J&K's Anantnag Rajouri finally votes after delay, as Congress hopes for change with 0 strongholds. Come, join the conversation on WION. World is One.
in the Democratic Republic of Congo as the army foils a coup attempt and arrests 50 people, including 3 Americans. After Niger, newly elected Senegalese Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko now calls for an end to French occupation and even criticizes the presence of the French military in the West African nation. And the kora, a Western African stringed instrument, makes a resounding return thanks to Gambian artist Sona Jorbate, World of Africa, at these times only on WION.
Namaste. Hello friends. We did Dr. Subhash Chandra show, popularly known as DSC show, for 4 years, from August 2014 to August 2018. 28 states of Bharat. Of course, we reached out to all of you in 190 countries across the world. The show was very successful. Each episode was being watched by almost 25 million people every week. For past 6 years, the demand of the show has never died down. People write to us, people ask for the show to restart again. Hence, we are beginning the show once again on All Z Network, also on WION, which is the global network channel from India. Again, thank you for your love and affection. See you soon at Subhash Chandra Show.
The biggest democratic exercise on the planet ever. Decoding the multiple colors of this multi-dimensional,